It's a sometimes vlog. It's a vlog that happens sometime. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're at the famous Alamo in San Antonio, Texas. This was a garrison church and garrison that Texans divided. This is the famous prison part, and this is, remember, the Alamo and whatnot. We're walking around the Alamo. I'm sure, for military people, they like that, but the famous Alamo where Davy Crockett and Jim Bowie and Sam Houston lost. It was basically 200 to 2,000, whatnot. This is the famous Alamo Church that was lost. So basically what happened was they lost this. They were trying to defend this. It was over 200 versus 2,000. Davy Crockett, Jim Bowie, and Sam Houston. They pretty much lost in 1924, 1935.
Oh no. I guess basically what happened is this is a combination of church with a garrison,
and they created the independent state of Texas here. I guess I have to do a walking tour and get better information. I'll probably do that and whatnot. Find out what's going on here. Okay, so after taking an audio tour, so basically what's going on is this church slash garrison was basically the final part of the this was pretty much it when it came to they're trying to defend the town, because the town was basically a garrison, and because the Mexicans were pretty, in Santa Ana, so that's what it was. It was pretty much this is where they were cornered, and this was what's left of where they were cornered, and that's the whole point of remembering the Alamo. It's not, that's what it is around here. Okay, so this gift shop is the original barracks, built in 1821. This is the most original building. This predates the church part, the garrison barracks, where they had the ammunition and weapons and stuff. Again, this was under originally Spanish rule. And then, see, San Antonio, this is the famous plaque, but this is the first building that was built here. This museum was the barracks originally. So basically what happened was, okay, the briefly, I just kind of read the brief and did the audio tour. So basically the deal is basically in the 1720s, and the 1740s, the Spanish came in through Gulf of Mexico and colonized what is today San Antonio, and they built the church and of course the barracks, because they wanted, kind of conversion in Christianity by force. Basically, that's the deal here. So basically, conversion by force of the mission, and it was built. Well, first this barracks was built first, and then this church was built next. But that was built in 1740. This is 1721. This is the oldest building here, but this is. And like I said, when I was in New Mexico, that was 1500. I don't know how they wound up in New Mexico. And New Mexico's in Santa Fe is an odd one, but this was 1720 by San Antonio, and then the father of San Antonio, and then of course they built this in 1740, 10 years later. So this is so basically what happened was, and of course they built the town, but apparently it was basically Christianity by force. And then of course the Mexicans took over in 1821, and then the deal is William B. Travis, an American soldier, was pretty much the troublemaker. He's pretty much the troublemaker that began. He did the troublemaking. He was pretty much arrested. He was arrested several times. And of course there's what's left of what was left from the famous battle, but he was a Mexican troublemaker and whatnot. And but the Mexicans were allowing settlers to come in, and of course San Antonio was already an established town. So yes, San Antonio was already established, and it had a lot of military and a lot of trade and stuff going on, and Mexicans were kind of lackadaisical about it, but it was still Mexican land in the 1820s and 1830s, as Americans were they wanted to get away from the United States. So Mr. Travis, he got himself basically got himself arrested or something. So he got himself arrested, and basically, they were trying to defend. They wanted this, and basically they kind of just fought this, and that's where Davy Crockett and Jim Bowie came in, and basically it's 200 versus 2,000. Santa Ana kind of outnumbered, and this is basically the cornerstone of where it was. Basically, what's going on is they were cornered. So that's what's going on, and this is what's left. And because of that, because of 200, including, Jim Bowie and Davy Crockett that were killed, and no one knows how they were really killed, that's basically the real deal of what the heck is going on around here. So, and of course there's a lot of events going on today. It's very humid today. Very, very humid. And, yeah, very humid day today around here. So that's what's going on, and that's what this is all about. And of course, then they made an independent state, independent country, basically, until 1845, until the United States decided, okay, enough is enough. And yeah, that's pretty much what it is. So. So yeah, and that's pretty much that. So that's Alamo. Me walking around. I don't know if I'll get anything else, but that's it for now. Trying to be possibly signing off.
Upstairs, document. Look in the drawers. One of those drawers has 3 letters of Davy Crockett. I'm amazed how this is. So especially for someone who had 6 months of formal education. Look at the Zappidor's axle over there. Get this idea of what handing in. When you go upstairs to the document, there are payments by combination to
During the several months preceding the Battle of the Alamo, his defenders worked hard to transform this large mission into a fort, strengthening walls, filling windows, and positioning on top. The structure just outside the contract, south of the west wall, was the Charlie House. This belonged to Pedro Charlie, one of the original inhabitants of the mission, who operated a small carpentry shop in the southwest corner of the quadrangle. Nearby was an earthwork and palisade enclosure called a lunette, which protected the main gateway to the Alamo. Here, 2 mounted cannons protected a large double door for mounted traffic and a small pedestrian door. These gates were part of the low barracks and opened onto the Alamo Plaza, where the cenotaph monument to the defenders now stands. The first room to the right of the main gate within the low barracks was the small room used by Colonel James Bowie after he became ill during the siege. His cot inside this darkened room could be brought outside to gain fresh air. The northern extension on the east end of the low barracks served as the kitchen for the garrison. On the reinforced ramp and platform in the southwestern corner of the Alamo Plaza was the largest cannon in the fort's inventory, the 18th Alamo. It was manned by the New Orleans Greys, and Travis fired this cannon in reply to Santa Anna's offer of surrender at discretion. Adjacent to it, where Pedro Charlie had his carpentry shop, was the post's blacksmith shop. and the structure next to this was the artillery command post. Just north along the west wall was the site of the Alamo's gun area, which was also manned by some of the New Orleans Greys. This large cannon was devastating at close range. Midway down the west wall is a gabled structure that was once the Trevino house, and during the siege this site served as Colonel Travis's command centre and headquarters. Here, Travis prepared and planned for the battle. The next house northward along the west wall was the southern Castaneda house. The northern room of the house was in ruins and was converted into a gun position which fired through an open window to the west. The northwest corner of the compound contained the northern Castaneda house, which had been covered over and reinforced for use as a heavy gun position. Equipped with one cannon firing to the west and another firing north, it was one of the main defensive positions for these two walls and was called El Fortín de Condé. Just west of here was the fort's weakest point, where wooden beams reinforced the partially ruined wall. Farther east along the north wall was another fortified gun position called El Fortín de Terrado, which was under the direct command of Colonel Travis. Mounted here were 3 cannons, all firing north. The wall continued eastward past the remains of the Reyes house. From the northeast corner of the compound it ran south along a group of huts called jacales and ended in a small gate opening to the east. Beyond the gate was the mission's large granary, previously used for storing foodstuffs. In 1836 it was converted into the long barracks for housing soldiers. The Sanchez Navarro map described trenches dug lengthwise inside the building to aid the defenders' last-ditch stand. At the southern end of the long barracks was the 2-story convento, which had housed priests during the mission period. By 1836, the lower rooms were used as an arsenal to house many of the fort's weapons, while the upstairs level served as a hospital. The convento courtyard was divided into 2 portions, one which contained the main well from the Alamo, and a smaller area which contained the fort's latrines. A small cannon was placed in the northeastern corner. South of the convento, in front of the mission church, was the southern courtyard. A palisade extended from the corner of the church to the low barracks with a centrally placed cannon. This was the area defended by David Crocker and his Tennessee volunteers. A ditch was dug outside the palisade, beyond which felled trees were dragged and stacked together to form an abartine. This device hindered direct attack of the palisade, forcing the enemy to negotiate a tangle of tree branches while leaving them vulnerable to the Tennessee sharpshooters. The church itself was mostly roofless. Inside, a long earthen ramp led to a gun position on the back wall, called El Fortín de Cos. 3 cannons were placed here, all firing to the east. The church's inner rooms were considered the safest, and therefore provided sanctuary for the women and children during the battle. After 13 days of siege warfare and relentless shelling, the Mexican troops were assembled for the main attack early on the morning of March 6, 1836. General Santa Anna ordered his assault troops to form 4 columns. Grenadier and scouting, or cazadores companies, were supplied with 6 rounds of ammunition per man. The line companies were only issued 4. Each man was given 2 extra flips for his musket. At about 5 a.m., the order was given to advance. The 4th column of cazadores moved forward, some soldiers taking refuge behind the Charlitos. Many of the men carried scaling ladders. After days of little or no sleep at all, most of the defenders were resting, as the night had been a quiet one. Once the Texans realized that they were under attack from the south, they scrambled to their feet, grabbed their weapons, and opened fire on the enemy. The 1st and 2nd columns attacked the defenders on the north wall. The assault was repulsed with heavy casualties, but was quickly renewed. The 3rd column attacked from the northeast. Because of the heavy opposition and little success, the 3rd column shifted its assault to join the 1st and 2nd columns outside the north wall. The combined forces called for additional support, and Santa Anna's reserves joined them for that final assault. The Mexican troops eventually secured a foothold on the dilapidated north wall. Breaking through the weakened area, they crawled over the bodies of their dead and wounded comrades and poured into the Alamo complex. It was here, at El Fortín de Terrado, that Travis fell. Meanwhile, at the south wall, the 4th column was able to scale the wall and break through an area west of the low barracks. Realizing that they had lost control of the quadrangle, the defenders took refuge in many of the buildings, including the long barracks and convento. Here, heavy fighting developed, and the Mexicans turned the Texan cannons to blast down the various doors, but in doing so, they killed many of their own men in the confused and smoke-filled early morning. The long barracks was the scene of some of the most vicious hand-to-hand combat. Making good Santa Anna's promise that no one would be spared, the Mexican soldiers hunted down and killed every defender. This extended to James Bowie, whose dead body was found in his small room in the low barracks, and to the wounded, who continued to resist when the Mexican troops entered the hospital. Atop the convento, the Texan flag continued to fly, and a number of Mexican troops were killed trying to remove it. Finally, Lieutenant Jose Maria Torres charged the position, took down the defender's flag, and replaced it with his unit's colors. He was then struck down by a Texan bullet. Lieutenant Torres is one of the many Mexican heroes that died that day. One of the last areas to fall was the palisade in front of the church. Here, after close hand-to-hand fighting, Crockett and his volunteers were overrun. Crockett may well have died here, although this will be forever debated among historians. With the last defenders killed, only the women, children and slaves who had taken refuge in the sacristy were spared. Dawn rose and the black pall of smoke lifted over the battered and bloodied fortress. All resistance had ceased. As word spread of the fall of the Alamo, anger and outrage grew stronger in the hearts of other Texans. Following the massacre at Goliad 3 weeks later, where hundreds of Texans were executed, Houston's army was seething with rage and ready to fight. On April the 21st, an 18-minute battle on the plains of San Jacinto assured the survival of the Republic of Texas through the complete defeat of Santa Anna and his army. The cry would echo down through the ages, "Remember the Alamo."
Actual Bowie knife. Battle order.
You still there? Go to you.
Santa Anna's account, what happened, his story of the Mexican government documents. Cannonballs. These are actual cannonballs. These things could really kill and destroy. Swords and knives and guns.
This gives you a good idea. This is a very early name.
Pistols. Oh, they had their own parking. I didn't know about that. This is San Antonio. Different flags: Spain, Mexico, Texas, and the United States. Statue of James Bowie. That's William Travis statue. Birds hiding in the trees. Basically, this is what's left of when they lost.
Is Almighty and holy name, Lord, sanctified. Amen.
Assuming it's a graduation ceremony or some kind for the Marines. It's a Marine ceremony. So I'm assuming it's a Marine ceremony. I'm going to conclude YouTube. This is the weakest step point of Alamo, 1836. This is downtown San Antonio. So yeah, basically, you know, if you want to put a nutshell of this thing, basically, yeah, that's pretty much what happened around here. Is basically, you know, the Mexicans were not being hosts anymore to the American settlers that wanted to be Texans, and I'd say Travis was pretty much the instigator of this. Really, I mean, basically, that's my true opinion. I personally think that, you know, this was Mexican territory, and you know, and this was really an aggression of the Texas settlers here. And you know, I don't know, maybe Texas was in the wrong. Anyway, so this is touring downtown San Antonio. I'm trying to get around so I could get back to the car and stuff. So this is I guess downtown San Antonio. Very humid day today, and trying to find my way around. So this is Johnny 2B signing off.
Boom, down. This came, took him away. By the way, our Sergeant Major Money
That's
is
the
a
Alamo.
black belt instructor. By the way, every Marine that graduates from
Oh, this is Johnny 2B signing off.
Tan belt. Tan. 5 levels.
So here I am at the Texas State Capitol in Austin. I'm not a big fan of the government here because this government is crazy and ridiculous, but here is the Texas State Capitol here in Austin. I'm not a big fan of Governor Abbott here, but they have problems with their prohibition and other issues and whatnot. Anyway, we're gonna go inside the Capitol building of Texas, kind of like looking at state capitals. It is one of our state capitals, but I'm not a big fan of the government. Thank you. Very brief. So yeah, this is the Capitol building, and yeah, looks like they were doing a lot of reconstruction scaffolding and stuff. I'm going kind of sluggish around here. They have a state police here in Texas instead, so I'm just investigating to see what I can do here. I guess it says they're doing a roof replacement. Again, I'm not in favor of the government here, but yeah, see what we can do here. State Treasury Department. Wow. Like an old-timey bank. As of all state capitals, they have security, and they have a visitor center. It's like all state capitals, they have a rotunda. Everybody tries to copy Washington, D.C., of course. And, you know, obviously they have security, just like all state capitals. They have security, heavy. It's lunchtime, I guess, or I don't know what it would be where I am, but I guess yeah, it's pretty much it's like all state capitals that they have high security, they have chambers. You know, obviously I could like the tour and stuff, so just, you know, it's a government building. This is, oh, well, the representatives have their different chambers and different, you know, representatives and senators, just like every other place. Different governors and Texas. It's supposed to be everything is big in Texas, so. I'll have to do a YouTube on the California state capitol one of these days. 'Cause I already did New Mexico. I've done Oklahoma City. I've done those two. So I kind of have to do, Sacramento because that's my home state, obviously. Our friend's library. I don't think I'm gonna go up the other steps, but there's 2 other levels that various governors that the state of Texas has had. I'll have to do California state. That's what I'll have to do. Just like our national government, they have a House and Senate, all 50 states. So there's 50 of these, so they all have their houses and their Senate. Obviously, there's a recess going on. I'm not going to enter anything. I went into Treasury. But yeah, this is pretty much it. Let's pop into the visitor center. I don't know where the visitor center. If I can't find it, I'm just gonna head back to the car, my rental car, and whatnot. Anyway, I just wanted to give you a long shot of the state capitol. Again, I'm not in favor of their politics, not in favor of, this is one of the, I'm a Democrat, and unfortunately this is not something that, I'm just, they have some very bad politics here. I know I was able, but anyway, so yeah, this is, if I can't find the visitor center, I'll just go back to the car. But yeah, this is it. This Capitol Visitor Center that way. I was told the Capitol was way 1888. This is the Visitors Center. This is obviously a kiddie thing. It's Texas. Amazing their state capital. Nothing with nothing. A brief little history missed him, I guess. After the 1845 land grant process. That's it. It's a nothing with nothing gift shop and history of Texas, not much of anything. I'm gonna head back to the car. This is Johnny 2B signing out for the rest of the day. I'll have to do the California. California is my home, so I'll have to do the Sacramento State Capitol, which is more, I don't know, it's more fantastic anyways. But, I don't know, Texas is Texas. So, this is Johnny 2B signing out.